Becoming your own boss and making a fortune in the process is the stuff of dreams for lots of people. But in business, there's no such thing as easy money. My first ever business venture was a design and print company, but I didn't know enough about it, I didn't think it through, and before too long it went bust. I kept going, funding my next venture by putting £5,000 on my credit card. It was a massive gamble, but it paid off, and I eventually built a multi-million-pound franchise of pubs, clubs and bars. You do have to make an awful lot of sacrifices and work very, very hard. But there's nothing like the buzz of knowing that what you've created is a result of your vision, your hard graft, and your ideas actually coming to fruition. Tonight, I'll be sharing my business experience with Paul Ground and Lee Saunders, who are risking it all on their dream of owning a cafe bar in Sussex. They soon find out that running their own business is harder than they ever imagined.
I should think we're easily doing 100-hour weeks at the moment.
Their inexperience leads to some shocking decisions.
This bar looks a little bit like one of those bars you get at Gatwick Airport.
And an act of God threatens to leave their dream in tatters.
There's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds.
As a nation, we love drinking. And in the past few years, all-day cafe bars serving trendy coffees and continental lagers have sprung up absolutely everywhere. And there's a good reason for that. This part of the industry is worth a massive £2.5 billion a year. Now, the secret with cafe bars is to get the balance right between keeping your daytime customers happy and creating a great environment in the evening. Get that balance right and the profits can be huge. And two guys in particular want to get a slice of that action. For best mates, Lee Saunders, 28, and Paul Ground, 32, becoming major players in the cafe bar business is all they can think about.
I'd always dreamed since I was at school that I'd want to be my own boss.
Oh, yeah, 3 touches.
I was kind of feeling a bit frustrated that I was working hard for someone else's benefit, really.
They've both had enough of being wage slaves stuck in middle management hell, and they're ready for the big time.
I see this as being the first step in my empire, or our empire.
Strike! Good goal.
The dream to turn this scruffy old game shop into a swanky cafe bar, making it the social mecca of their hometown, Burgess Hill in Sussex.
Here's the band key.
But their ambition means giving up a comfortable lifestyle, so it's goodbye to stability and security, and hello to debt and stress.
It's a rock and roll game.
Lee's jacked in his £32,000 a year marketing job, and Paul's quitting his position as an IT consultant on £29,000. Now they've got to scrape together nearly £500,000 just to get started. To find the cash, they've remortgaged their homes for £160,000. They flogged their cars for another £10,000. Friends are pitching in with 70 grand. They're putting in £90,000 of combined savings and taking out a whopping £143,000 loan from the bank. In total, they're risking £473,000. For the lads, it's a massive step into the unknown.
I'm, risking the house that I'm sitting in, risking lots of friends and social life. I'm risking everything.
Financially, I could not have put another penny into this whatsoever. If things go wrong, I have some big bills to pay.
Paul and Lee are convinced Burgess Hill is the perfect site to launch their business empire, but its small population of 28,000 seems to consist mainly of pensioners and young families, and with 3 other bars in town, they're going to face stiff competition. Now, I've run bars for years and can spot a good or bad location when I see one. With Burgess Hill, my first impression is that there may not be a huge bar-going market. They might be better off opening a bingo hall. Lee and Paul need 3 crucial factors to make their cafe bar work: the right location, some pub or bar experience, and crucially, a distinctive image to make their place stand out from the crowd. What's going to make your bar different to the other bars on offer in Burgess Hill?
One is the venue, the decor, the style, the quality, everything that they visually see. And 2, it's the actual customer experience that we give them and the products we give them. The quality brands that are different.
It's almost like the continental style cafe bar that you might see when you go abroad, somewhere where they come out and they feel this is a really stylish place to come. This is a really comfortable place to come, and it just stinks of quality. And that was the whole idea.
Stinks of quality.
Yeah. Why not?
I like that expression, that's
Stinks
good.
of quality.
Yeah. We've got 2 target audiences. We've got one for daytime shoppers.
But what about the night time? Because shoppers is one thing,
Yep.
We're trying to target the people who are mid-20s, mid-30s, early 40s, giving them an option to come into Burgess Hill. At present, they go outside the town for their night out.
And you think Burgess Hill is ready for that? Because Burgess Hill is appears quite a sleepy little town.
The town is crying out for this and has needed it for a long, long time.
But the guys are sadly lacking in one area that's absolutely vital to a bar's success. Do you think it's going to be a problem, the fact that you're not really experienced in this area?
That's a difficult question, isn't it? I don't mean to sound disrespectful, but the actual pouring of a drink and serving and so forth and customer service is not the difficult part to pick up.
You think?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we have done. We've basically done some bar work 10 years ago, and Paul, I can't remember if you've done any bar work or not.
Bits and pieces, but not on a long ongoing period.
Yeah. Their inexperience is also costing them money. The lads have gambled on buying the freehold to the shop and the flat above, spending a massive £313,000. And they forked out another £190,000 on the huge task of turning the empty shell into a functioning bar. I think for first-timers, leasing is a much safer bet. To prevent costs spiralling even further, Paul and Lee get stuck into the refurbishment work themselves. I'm keen to check out the guys' competition. This is Bar Jelly. There's probably about 20 people in here, and that's enough to get an atmosphere. As I suspected, Burgess Hill isn't exactly jumping. Well, this is Bar Cena, which is probably the most sophisticated bar in Burgess Hill. It's cool, it's trendy, it's red, it's warm, it's got a crowd of people in it, unlike a lot of places in the town. And I think if I was going out in Burgess Hill tonight, I'd be going in there. But for me, the fundamental question is the lads' position within the town centre. They'll certainly find it challenging to cash in where they are. There seems to be a real divide in Burgess Hill. You've got the area up there, which is where the people are, the bars are, the restaurants are, the atmosphere is, and which is where I'd want to go and drink. And then you've got a divide here, and then beyond there, you've got the pedestrianised area. There's no restaurants, there's no people, it suddenly becomes a bit of a wasteland, and unfortunately, down there is where the guy's bar is, and I'm worried that they've located their place at the wrong end of town. I think it's going to be a problem. It's early November, and with a challenging location on their hands, it's vital that Lee and Paul ensure the bar's decor has that special wow factor to seduce people through the door. This is your mood board. Yeah. Talk me through it. Where are these fabrics going?
The reds fit in with some of the wooden chairs for the upholstery.
Yeah.
And these are the different styles of chairs throughout. So you've got the comfy big sofa, formal seating for meals.
The bar design is where Paul and Lee can really make their mark. And since they're investing nearly 200 grand in it, they've got to get it right. But the interiors company they've chosen has a background in refurbishing pub chains rather than creating funky designs for stylish bars. How do you feel about getting a firm in that haven't actually done a job just like this before?
Bit apprehensive.
I wasn't. I was quite pleased because I thought for them it was a great opportunity for them to add to their portfolio of starting from scratch. They haven't got that.
So it's a bit of a learning process for them as well as you, really.
Only in terms, I think, design-wise.
The guys may be happy with the designs, but I think these ideas lack the personality needed to pull customers into a bar. They're just not individual enough. One thing that really strikes me about these guys is their real enthusiasm. I mean, they couldn't be any more enthusiastic, and there's a real desire there to succeed. I think the problem is their lack of experience. I think between them, they've got about 2 or 3 days bar experience working behind the bar, never mind running the place. So I think it's going to be a real big problem, the fact they haven't brought somebody in who knows what they're doing. Best mates Paul Ground and Lee Saunders have ditched their office jobs and are gambling nearly £500,000 and transforming a tatty old shop in Burgess Hill, Sussex into a fashionable cafe bar. But when it comes to staff recruitment, they're finding it difficult to shake off the corporate world they've left behind.
Expectations of progression within our company, as we would call it.
They're giving off the vibe of a couple of stuffy suits rather than the owners of the funkiest new joint in town. And things get even more corporate at the staff training session.
Then we're just going to quickly sort of tell you again about the concept, the idea that we had, the reason that we're all here today, and then some of the more formal bits and pieces, our licence, the role that we all play in the business.
It's all very David Brent.
Vertical drinking, that basically is the technical term for standing up and having a drink. That's all vertical drinking means. Okay.
As for the staff image, Paul's uncle, who runs the local tailors, has cut the lads a deal on some specially logoed shirts.
You happy with my choice of colours then?
Brilliant, yeah. Brilliant.
Let's hope it all goes all right now.
Hardly the look of a cool style bar. It's mid-November and the bar, which they're calling Mooch at 76, is finished. After a year of planning, their vision is realised. The old game shop has been completely transformed. But something may have been lost in translation. At least the decor will match the staff outfits. They're both uninspired. Whatever happened to that distinctive quality image they were after?
I'm going to say something which I don't think you'll like, but it's true. I think this bar looks a little bit like one of those bars you get at Gatwick Airport. There's no wow factor. It doesn't say stylish bar to me at the moment. The pictures on the wall, do you like the pictures you've chosen?
My personal opinion, I don't like them and I never chose them.
So why have you put pictures up in your own bar that you don't like? You're two young guys starting your first bar. You had an amazing opportunity to put your personality into this place, and that hasn't happened. And basically, you've ended up with an identikit, corporate-looking bar with chairs like this, which come out of a catalogue, and you've got them in your style bar. You need to sharpen the image. I think at the moment your image is flat, and it needs to be sharp or sharper.
I agree to a level, yeah, probably.
Can we have a look behind the bar?
In the bar game, you've got to get the drink selection spot on. Choosing the right beers is essential.
Why are you selling the brands you've got? Because I don't think you're selling the right brands.
The reason we're selling Amstel, the same with Coors, because they're different. No one else in the town does them.
I'd like to put it to you that the reason that other pubs don't sell Amstel and Coors is because they're selling Stella Artois and Kronenberg, and Stella is the UK's top-selling premium lager brand. I think you're selling the wrong products. You need every advantage at the moment.
I actually completely disagree with you. Completely disagree with you.
Nobody knows anything about Amstel. It's the sort of beer you drink when you go to Amsterdam on holiday. It's a tiny brand.
That's another reason why we wanted to have that continental feel. So if that's what it actually took.
What's Kronenberg? That's continental as well.
Yeah, and everyone else does it. Everyone in
for a
every
reason.
pub in this Burgess Hill, every pub in Burgess Hill does that.
All right, well, it's up to you, but I think by selling those two brands, you're going against the whole experience of the UK sort of licensed industry at the moment.
That's
we're
fine.
not, yeah, we're
I
not.
haven't got a problem with that,
yeah.
because we always said we want to be different.
Paul and Lee spent £55,000 on a second-hand kitchen. They plan to serve breakfast, lunches and coffees during the day, with light bites and drinks in the evening. Their break-even point is a hefty £5,600 a week, but I think that's going to be difficult to achieve, particularly if they're trying to satisfy these two very different markets. It's the night before Mooch's grand opening. Lee and Paul are throwing a party for friends and family to celebrate their achievement.
Have a drink and take a seat, sir.
Never thought we'd do it. I can feel a grin coming on that's not going to go down. Feels good.
They've dreamed about it for years, and now Mooch at 76 is open for business.
It's good, isn't it?
There's our project number one.
Well played.
Up and running.
Thank you.
9 o'clock the next morning, Mooch opens to the public for the first time. But there's a problem.
The chef's ill on his first day.
The champagne's gone flat, and so has the mood. On a first day and with no chef, the kitchen assistant doesn't know where anything is. Bit of a problem when customers turn up eager for a Mooch-style breakfast.
Let me shake you by the hand. You're our first ever customers.
Then I'll get the bread.
Lee's forced to rope his girlfriend into doing the cooking.
Right, so we're ready to do the first three. 2 scrambled, 1 fried, yeah?
And then minutes later, some of the second-hand kitchen equipment starts to break down.
I'm going to kill that if I ever see him.
It's complete mayhem.
Do you need it all white or brown as well?
Oh, I don't care, they're all having white. They're all having white bread. Getting really quite upset now.
It's the water off the machine.
Move!
Right, so
One bacon, 2 bacon.
Yeah, I don't think that was the best opening that could have ever happened. No. You know, it's an experience. You've got to enjoy things, haven't you? Even things go wrong, it's part of the experience. But that's my attitude, you know.
It's a nice attitude to have.
It's a bad start, and Lee and Paul haven't made the splash in Burgess Hill they'd hoped for. It's already a challenge to make this bar work, and the last thing they need is for customers to be turned off by this amateurish muddle. Over the next few days, the guys discover that running a cafe bar is a shock to the system. To keep the place running throughout the day and all evening, they're both working double shifts. The bar's open to customers 14 hours every day. They're running themselves ragged.
I'm absolutely knackered. I should think we're easily doing 100-hour weeks at the moment.
It's a non-stop slog, starting at 7 a.m. and finishing at 1 the next morning. Paul and Lee are on the feet all day, doing the cleaning, changing barrels, serving customers, calling suppliers, pulling pints, washing up, cashing up, and sorting out the wages. It's a far cry from their cushy old 9-to-5 office jobs.
It is tiring.
I'm very tired. I've done the early shift this morning after only a handful of hours sleep, and it's been like every day, to be quite honest.
You kind of find that it is your life and it takes over your life, doesn't it?
It already has.
Although people are coming into the bar, they're mostly friends and family, and not nearly in the numbers they need. So for all this slog, the guys aren't actually making enough money to pay themselves a penny.
We've taken £3,658 since last Saturday, which isn't enough to break even, is it?
No. We need more money from somewhere.
We need more people coming in, we need more people buying food.
Getting the food right could make all the difference. Typically, it should account for a third of their takings. But Lee and Paul are so busy firefighting front of house that they're failing to notice what's going on in the kitchen.
What's that dish going to be?
This one?
Yeah.
For Caesar salad.
Right.
This is supposed to be cheese and chutney sandwich.
It's 1:15 now.
Yeah.
How many orders have you got
On
at the moment? Yeah.
2.
No wonder they're in trouble. According to the plan, they need to be doing about 25 lunches per day.
I think it's really telling that even today, when there's only 4 or 5 orders, they're already running out of space. They burned one dish while I was in there. There's too many people. It's just the flow doesn't seem to work. So I really hate to think what's going to happen if they have, 10, 15, even 20 orders on the go. It's going to be absolute chaos in there.
Can I help with anything, Chef?
The big problem is that they're both working flat out being employees rather than actually managing their business.
You've done the first few weeks, it's been really mad, it's really hectic. But I want to make sure that you're staying on top of the business side of it as well.
I think we're not, to be honest, aren't we?
We're not. Okay, because earlier on, Paul, I asked you, I said, what was your what was your taking for last week? And you didn't know, did you?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah. So I think that is maybe going to be a problem, because I think when you're running a business, and it's a small business and you're just starting, you need to know sort of day by day how much you're taking. I mean, really, you've got a double challenge, because you're trying to run a bar on one hand that is something new to you, and in addition to that, you've got the double challenge of trying to run a kitchen at the same time.
Yeah. We always said that we wanted to employ someone and almost say to them the kitchen is their office. You manage your office and we won't interfere.
I'm not convinced about that ethos. You've got to be a control freak to some extent. It's your business, it's your profit, it's your money. You two stand to lose an awful lot if it doesn't succeed.
It's now just 3 weeks to Christmas, and Moot should be packed with festive boozers, but the place is practically empty.
There was one thing I'm a bit naive on. I did believe we'd get an after-work trade, but we simply don't. I thought we'd get a lot of people at the offices in the local area. We don't get anything at all. People don't seem to go out after work in Birdsall. For whatever reason, it's something we've learned, and it's costly because it's an important time, and we simply don't get anyone in.
Lee and Paul have decided that throwing a New Year's Eve bash is a great opportunity to put them on the partygoers map. They're offering bar snacks and booze all night for a pricey £60 a head. It had better be good.
We need to sell 70 tickets, or as near to as possible. I think at the moment we've sold about 15.
But they haven't put any thought into marketing, and relying on one sad-looking A-board isn't exactly going to send sales through the roof. It's New Year's Eve, and things are looking bleak. The guys have only sold half the tickets, and most of those were flogged to sympathetic friends. It's all a bit of a disaster.
I think it's already been a failure, to be honest. There's no doubt that it's completely... Well, it is a failure. Didn't really sell, so we've given them a refund and just charged them £5 ticket entry, and everyone just pays for their drink as they go. We didn't do enough selling or marketing or advertising for it at all. I think we were probably a bit too naive, thinking it would sell quite easily without having to put too much effort into it, and that wasn't the case. And obviously we've learnt an expensive and bad lesson.
A well-run, popular bar of this size could expect to clear at least £4 grand on New Year's Eve. But Mooch only manages to take a measly 1,500 quid.
Happy New Year.
2004's been really tough. We haven't got everything right. In fact, we've got an awful lot of things wrong. I'm reasonably confident that 2005 is going to be a good year.
But 2 weeks into 2005, disaster strikes. A ceiling pipe bursts overnight, causing absolute devastation. Electrical equipment, furniture, walls and the wooden floor are all completely ruined.
Came in here, and this was like a power jet of water just hitting the plasma screen, and everywhere. The thing was under about a foot of water.
It is just unbelievable, the luck. We go on about the bad luck.
It's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. That doesn't even start to consider what we're going to lose through trade.
But as if things couldn't get any worse, Paul and Lee discover that they're underinsured by half the value of their contents.
We've got no income. The insurance company are giving us no idea whether it's going to be days, weeks or months before they pay out. Where does the cash flow come? We've still got to pay staff. We've still got to pay our rent. We haven't got any money.
The lads were already in a financial fix. They had no contingency, and it all comes as an enormous blow.
We're back to square one, the same state we were in about 3 or 4 months ago. So, very, very depressing.
Tired and dejected, Paul and Lee feel that their dream could be slipping away.
On the day that the flood happened, that was the first time I honestly, hand on heart, felt this really isn't meant to be.
It's the first time I've thought, am I doing the right thing? So I'm not as confident as Paul now is that it is going to be a success. I want it to be, but having seen the first 3 or 4 months, I have got doubts.
As things stand at the moment, it's certainly not a success. If they carried on as they are, it would not be a successful stop. You would have to class it as a failure.
It's stiff upper lip time. Paul and Lee have got to get a grip. The last thing they need now is to lose their motivation and focus.
Show me where the events all started from.
They must summon up the energy to turn this around.
We had to take up the floor basically because the water got under the floor.
Absolutely awful. I do feel for you.
And they've just heard that it'll take at least 5 weeks before they can get up and running again.
What I think you ought to do is turn one big negative here into a positive thing. A lot of the things we talked about before were to do with design, layout, the way the place was presented. Maybe you could actually take advantage of the time you've got now to actually sort those issues out. So if you need to do a lick of paint in a different colour, you can do it. If you need to get some new pictures, you can do that. And you can also get all those little things sorted out, like the PR, marketing, get some stories in the press, to turn this disaster into your favour.
We wanted a focus point, and we said yesterday we've just been drifting because it's so demoralising that, you can't see light at the end of the tunnel.
I think people who are successful in business have an overriding self-confidence, and I think that's what you need to find from within yourselves.
Paul Ground and Lee Saunders have gambled £473,000 on their dream of running a successful cafe bar. But the business has hit the buffers. A flood has left the bar and kitchen ruined. They've had to close for at least 5 weeks.
It's difficult to actually picture that just a few days ago, this place was full.
But in business, the skill is to turn a disaster into an opportunity. For me, this is a great chance for the guys to rethink the bar's image and learn how a real bar works. So I'm taking them out and about in Brighton to try and inspire them.
Right, we're in Ricky Tick's in Brighton. I think this is a great example of a place where lots of different ideas work really well, lots of different design ideas. As you come in, look, you've got a white sofa there, but it works really well. This wall over here, you've got stripes painted, which if someone described that to you, you think it sounded really bizarre, but in reality it works really well. Although the lads are strapped for cash, clever touches to their restyle could breathe some life into Mooch and make it distinctive. It's this end of the bar that gives it the real wow factor as far as I'm concerned.
I quite like the little circles on the wall. I think they would look quite good with the colour we got.
Just as I hoped, they're really getting into it.
I think that looks really, really good.
See, to me, even the little things like candles are right. All they've done is use glasses. Yeah. To me, that doesn't even look cheap and packaged.
What do you think of this bar here? What does that say to you? What's it say? I think what I'm trying to achieve, I'm trying to get your creative juices flowing. Yeah. Oh, so are they flowing a little bit?
They're flowing a lot, actually.
Good. Well, I've achieved something tonight.
You have.
But tonight is also about building Paul and Lee's experience. So I've arranged for a training session with Rob Fredrickson, owner of one of Brighton's most popular bars.
All right, well, look, I'm going to teach you how to make a Bloody Mary. How spicy do you like it?
Never had one.
Never had one? How on earth can you sell something that you've never tasted yourself? Here we are.
Sometimes I don't know what fruit goes with which spirit and mixer.
I only use lemons really for soft drinks if someone wants a Coke or a lemonade. With a gin and tonic, give it a squeeze, and then you rim the glass like that, pop it in.
I'd never have known you like rim it and then squeeze it and put it in. I would have no idea.
They haven't got to grips with even the most basic bar knowledge, and it gets even worse when they have to work a shift behind the bar.
After you, Paul.
Come on, it's not that hard. Doubles always go in tall glasses.
Tall glasses.
You know. Oh, come on, like you mean it. Right, who used that last?
That was me, sorry.
Put it away, please.
4 pieces of lime, and I'm sure it's got sugar in it.
This has been a real eye-opener. Overall, do you think today's been a good experience?
We're completely out of shape when it comes to knowing our business. And I didn't realise just how badly. So we've got to do something quite dramatic, I think. Turn that around.
It's been a very good day. I think it's been very, very beneficial. Just would have been nice to have done it before we opened.
Yep, that's true. Refreshed by our Brighton brainstorm, the lads return to Mooch fired up for their big relaunch in 3 weeks' time. They want to get every detail right. First on the list, that decor.
We'll have a mirror on there, we'll have a couple of pictures, that's another area, and that
They try to brief the bloke from the design company on some of their new concepts.
So the idea we had was perhaps we saw circles break up the wall, just a
which
little circle.
I think would be fantastic.
I thought they worked really well.
About 3/4 the size of that circle, one after the other in a long line, just going on top of the walls.
But I'm not sure their enthusiasm's catching on.
Fit in with what we're doing, but
yeah, I think if you don't overdo them.
Then they get to work practicing their cocktail skills.
According to the menu, that's correct then. It looks rubbish.
And knuckle down to revamping the menu.
So it says Cumberland sausages served on buttered mash with roasted onions and a red wine gravy.
I think you should have peas with that as well.
Yeah. I think it should be a red wine and onion gravy. These are going outside somewhere, aren't they?
By mid-February, the newly refurbished Mooch is ready to open its doors again. Second time around.
Can't light the thing.
Although their big promotional idea, a barbecue in the depths of winter, isn't quite setting the town alight.
a barbecue.
It's not gone quite according to plan. I warmed mine up a bit.
Well, we didn't actually want to make any money on the barbecue. We just wanted to do it for our look, you know, a bit of visual presence.
If only they'd worked harder on the visual presence inside the bar. Blink and I could be in the same place as a few months ago, with the exception of a few painted circles, one picture and a few mirrors. Mooch needed a dramatic change to drum up evening trade. But thank goodness, the back bar at least has improved.
You've got a lot more product there. The product you've got is better presented. There's a lot more colour. It's just come to life. I'd say 9 out of 10. You know, so that's well done, lads. Nice one. Vast improvement. But in terms of the decorative stuff, do you want to know what I think? You probably don't want to know, but I'll tell you anyway. My impression is you've been over timid. I don't think you've gone far enough.
At the moment, we are relying on our daytime business. It dominates, actually, what income we get. So for us to turn around and be a style bar, which is designed for the younger, for the people coming out in the evenings, we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot.
It's a matter of how you resolve those two markets. If you could come up with a scenario that made both those groups happy, you'd have the secret for this business. That would be the key to unlock a fortune in this place. But at the moment, that's what you're missing, isn't it? As part of the relaunch, the lads have come up with a new marketing campaign for various theme nights during the week. A quiz night, a ladies' night, and a cocktail night. Great ideas, but they'll need some serious promoting to bring in the numbers they need. Last time we spoke, we were talking about the way in which you could get out, put the word around, put flyers in people's hands, do all the promotions. How's that side of it been going? The actual sort of you two pushing your personalities as the people fronting this bar?
Haven't really. Haven't really.
Why not?
We probably haven't been out there doing it as much ourselves, and we've almost been taking some of the continental approach out of it, where we employ someone to go out there and spread the word.
Yeah,
we need to manage this place.
But you two are the local people who are the faces, who know people. Do you not think you should get that the other way around? If you're doing it yourself, you can get the message across much more strongly than someone else who goes, "Here, mate, there's a flyer." You know, if it's your own place, you can get that energy behind it, or you ought to be able to.
Okay, that's a fair point.
But Paul and Lee don't take my advice, and their marketing effort remains lacklustre.
How many times are a team allowed to touch a volleyball before it crosses the actual net?
Sure enough, on Monday, the sports quiz attracts just 10 punters. On Wednesday, in spite of their newfound skills, their cocktail night is no great shakes with a crowd of 6.
Right, that's the Bucks fees one.
Thank you.
And on Thursday, ladies' night does slightly better with 13. These poorly performing evenings are having a devastating effect on the guys' financial situation. Their break-even figure is £5,600 a week, but they're a massive £1,500 short of that. As each day goes by, they're sinking deeper and deeper into the red.
We're actually losing money each week we open, and we're not making any money in the evenings. Business-wise, it's kind of the daytime is keeping us afloat, really.
On a typical Saturday daytime, Mooch takes £760, but in the evening that figure slumps to £590. But that's on a good day.
Yesterday was probably the poorest day we've had ever. We took £200 and that was it.
The noose is tightening. The lads are stuck between needing to get more customers through the door and not having any resources to do it.
Not great.
Their promotions are going downhill rapidly.
That sign up there was for St George's Day. We literally just turned it over and painted on the back of it. It's a bit scrappy, but then I suppose that's part and parcel of what you'd expect from school kids.
The situation is now really grim.
I mean, looking at the figures without going through them in detail, Heather, I don't think there's many...
Time for a serious conversation with their accountant.
Basically, you know, the business is fine if you don't want to make any money from it. If you want to run a charity for Burgess Hill drinkers, then you're doing, you know, a reasonable job for it. Unless you can come up with a really good marketing idea or you can get some advice that pulls people in, you've got to keep your costs down to a minimum. And the only way I can see that doing is by working harder.
I'm struggling doing the hours I'm doing now. I'm seriously tired.
But the thing is that, you know, it depends how far you're willing to go to make it survive.
4 months after opening, Paul and Lee have reached crisis point. Desperate to cut costs, they're forced to lay off their first member of staff, which means they have to take on even more hours themselves.
The longer you go on, the more difficult it becomes, because at first, you don't mind giving certain things up, but the longer that continues, the harder it is.
I don't see my family and friends very often. I don't really have a personal life anymore. I suppose the dream has become a little bit blurred.
Magic.
You know, the dream was to make some money and make a better life for myself. Reality is, we're not making money and I don't have a better life.
Despite cutting their costs to the bone, sales remain poor and the guys' debts are spiralling. This business is on the verge of collapse. If Paul and Lee don't take drastic action, they risk losing everything. And I don't want them to make the same mistakes I did. My first business went bust, but I did it in a really bad way. I went bust over a long period of time and ended up with absolutely nothing. Every penny went. Now, you're at a stage now where you can avoid that. It's pivotal what you do now. If I was you, I would say, that, right, my strengths are the fact that I now have, several months' experience. So there are strengths, and the strengths are with you two. And there are weaknesses, and I think the weakness is with location. If I was you, I'd consider selling the bar. You've got a freehold, you've vastly improved the freehold, and I would use that money to buy the leases on some pubs. Now, purely by coincidence, I got sent through some particulars here. That's just 2 bars that are for sale in Brighton at the moment. You could buy 3 or 4 pubs like this and have your own mini pub empire in no time.
The difficult part in my mind would be letting go of something we've worked so hard for, shed blood and sweat over.
As an entrepreneur, you need to have purely a business head-on. If you let emotions come into it, you won't move forward. There's no shame in walking away from something because it's not right. This isn't failure, this is just being sensible. I think you should get it valued, because you might surprise yourselves.
Didn't expect that, really, did you? No. No, I wasn't expecting that.
It's a bitter pill to swallow, but Paul gets straight on the phone.
We would like you to come out and look at our existing property, which is in Burgess Hill.
The lads may have found the exit strategy they need.
I don't mind working hard and sacrificing a lot, but there's got to be some ultimate gain, isn't there? We've got to make some money for what we're putting into it. I'm not going to do it any other way.
A few days later, Paul gets a call from the valuer.
It's more positive than I would have expected, so that's good.
The guys have struck lucky. The valuation is higher than they could ever have imagined.
He would recommend that we put it on the market for £550,000. Yeah, I was surprised it was so high, I must admit.
That £550,000 would cover not just the 473 grand they risked to start up the business, but would also pay off all the debts and could even leave them with a profit. It's a genuine opportunity to wipe the slate clean and start afresh. But to my amazement, Paul and Lee decide not to take up the offer.
Immediate thought is, yeah, that's great, let's get out. My other thought would be that I'd be cheating myself, and I'd look back on it as bailing out and taking the easy option.
I know how they feel. I've been there too. You feel so wedded to your first business that you can't bear to walk away from it.
I see you're still here.
Just about, yeah.
The lads are determined to stay, so I've got a plan to turn their underperforming Friday nights into a real long-term money spinner, launching Mooch as one of the hottest venues in the summer months. I think it's their only chance of survival. I reckon for an expenditure of about £500, we, and I say we because I want to do this with you, we can all sit down and put on something really, really special for Burgess Hill. Now, there's a long-term benefit of that, the fact that if you establish your reputation on one night, people will associate your place with a good time, and they'll come here the next Friday, the Friday after, etc., etc.
What are you proposing?
I think we should make the place look like an Ibethan bar. So lots of white drapes. Imagine it's, 100 degrees, it's the middle of summer, you're in the Balearic Islands. That's the sort of feel we're going for.
If we can work the whole event around that sort of style and that sort of idea and that sort of image, I'll be up for that and I'll be really happy.
I do truly believe this is the best way of giving yourselves and the business a fighting chance. So let's get this right, let's put some energy into it and let's get this place busy.
OK.
With just 3 weeks to the Ibiza night, I get the guys over to my office for a crash course in bar promotion.
Come and have a sit down, we need to have a talk.
First, publicity. I would suggest that you need to do around about 5,000 flyers. Creating the right image for the promotional material is vital. It needs to be eye-catching and cool to attract our target market. So you've got the sunset there, you've got people dancing.
Yeah, very good. I'm very impressed. I think that's very, very good.
To pull in the punters, we should offer a free cocktail with every flyer, and it won't cost the lads a penny. I think we can seriously approach one of your suppliers. Try and get them to provide enough booze to give at least a shot or a cocktail or something free to all those people. The style of the music has got to be spot on to create the right mood, so I get Paul scouting for a superstar DJ.
Well, basically, we're going to dress the whole bar and do like an old school Ibiza night.
A week later, Paul and I hit the streets of Burgess Hill with our newly printed flyers and posters. Clothes shops,
Done all those.
hairdressers, music shops. Can I give you a flyer for a party? Thanks a lot. Week Friday. There you go. It's the sort of woman you want in your bar. In all my years promoting events, I found nothing beats direct marketing. Hello, we're from Mooch, down the road.
Oh, right.
And we're having a party week Friday.
Ooh.
Nobody can refuse it. If you're smiling and you're funny with them, nobody's going to say, "Oh, no, thank you," are they? Well, some
actually,
might.
they might.
Some might. With a couple of days to go, I want to make sure the guys are on top of everything. If you phoned everybody up and made sure the DJ's here on time, sound system, are all the plans totally checked?
We haven't gone double phoned everyone up to make sure.
The secret with any night like this, or anything in business, is organisation. It's dotting the I's, crossing the T's. It's early July and make or break time for Lee Saunders and Paul Brown's cafe bar business in Burgess Hill. It's been 9 months since they opened, and with massive debts growing by the day, they face going bust. If we're working the basis it's going to be busy, I think we should lose the bar stalls. My salvage plan is to throw a memorable event to attract clientele for the crucial evening trade. We're staging an Ibiza party, which I think is perfect for Burgess Hill.
Would it be better to have the DJ nearer that end or nearer this end?
I think have the DJ at this end because you want people to be able to see the DJ when they come in. The DJ arrives, as does Rob from Brighton to help create that special cocktail that comes free with every party flyer.
That look very Ibiza.
Looks not bad at all.
Jog on, fella.
The party may be costing the guys 500 quid, but it's an investment for the long term. If they build on it by booking a DJ for successive Friday nights, Mooch will develop a reputation as a destination bar, bring in more customers and more revenue.
Do you know?
Dos. Direct marketing and the lure of a free cocktail is doing the trick. And inside the three key elements of a successful bar, good lighting, decor and music, are creating a great atmosphere. By 9 o'clock, Mooch is rammed.
What do you reckon? I reckon we're really busy.
In fact, it's so busy, people are pouring out onto the pavement. It's 10 and all is well. And Paul's happy as well. You're both happy at the same time. We've got a superb crowd. They've got the busiest bar in Burgess Hill, and they've made a success of it. They need to carry this forward and make it busy every Friday from now on. The lads have overcome their bad location with an energetic and effective marketing strategy. They've taken an incredible £1,300. That's more than double their normal Friday nights. But I'm shocked to discover that despite this success, the guys don't see building on tonight as the way forward. I feel quite strongly that if you're going to do it, you need to do it next week and the week after that, so people they know what's on. People like the regularity.
I don't know. I'm not convinced that these people will come out again next Friday.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the secret of running a bar. It's continually putting that energy and effort in. If you put that oomph in that you put in this week, you could hopefully reproduce what you did tonight.
But who are the people that are going to come next week?
Well, the same people that came tonight, and the people...
But that's what we're saying, they won't. We just said that they won't come 2 weeks on the trot.
Because a lot of the people I know don't come out every single week. They came out because it was a big organised event.
So what's going to be on next Friday?
At present, we haven't booked anything in.
I'm just worried that if you think that putting a night on like tonight isn't the way forward, how are you ever going to get out of the fact that you're running a bar that isn't taking enough money?
Who said I wanted to make money?
Yeah, but nobody wants to live on a pittance.
I didn't get in this to purely make money. I did it for an adventure and an experience. To me, the whole concept about this place isn't about live, banging music. That's not what we came up with the concept for.
If I was you, I'd be delighted with the night. It was a massive success. It was a quality night. Everything was right, and, you two did brilliantly. I strongly advise you to build on that.
We do want to build it, honestly. But not in the way that, obviously, you want us to.
This is madness. The guys have proved that they can bring in more money, and there is potential in this town for them to capitalise on. But determined to stick to their unprofitable business concept, they're turning their backs on what I think is the only way forward. They don't want to listen to what I'm saying. The defences have gone up. They don't want to listen. I just don't think I can really tell them anymore what to do, to draw a line under it. If they want to carry on running this business and go bust, which is what they will do, I can't help them anymore.
Sure enough, Lee and Paul don't promote the following Friday nights, and Mooch remains empty when it could be heaving. It's been a year since I joined Paul and Lee on their journey to start up their dream business. They've slaved away to get Mooch off the ground and have been eternally optimistic that someday their struggling bar will turn a corner. It's now the height of summer, but the business is still flatlining. A month after the Ibiza party, I'm paying my final visit to Burgess Hill.
So at the moment, what's your overall financial situation? How much money per week do you live on at the moment?
In all honesty, we take just under £1,000 home a month.
Personally, I don't take enough money home to cover my bills. My bills are probably about £600 more than my income.
And I bet if you consider the number of hours that you do now,
Oh, yeah.
I bet you're pretty much on the
We worked out we were
minimum
earning
wage.
£3.50 an hour.
Yeah. But the life you've got now, is that better or worse than the life you gave up?
I'm enjoying it. I've got a better life now than I had before, I think, so... Yeah.
In honesty, I think the quality of lifestyle is dramatically reduced. I don't have a weekend. I don't look forward to a weekend. Quite often, I don't even know what day of the week it is.
How does this reality compare with the dream? Because it was a dream to start with, wasn't it?
Not as good, is it?
No.
Dreams are always better. Dreams are always better.
I still don't regret doing it. Even if it failed tomorrow, at least I would know, and I wouldn't wonder what if.
What are the major lessons that you've learned from the experience so far?
Be a bit more wise when it comes to location. They always say location is the key.
Is massive. Second thing I would say is experience. We really, really struggled early doors.
And to be honest, actually, one of the biggest learnings is not to take an empty shell and turn it into a bar, because the expenditure is just
astronomical.
It's not worth that.
So you'd do it again tomorrow if you could...
I'd do it again tomorrow, but I would do it differently.
Yeah, I think everyone would say that.
Paul and Lee have worked so hard to achieve their dream, and I really admire that. But Mooch will never generate enough cash to give them both a decent living. If I was them, I'd definitely take the escape route, sell the freehold, pay off the debts, learn from my mistakes, and start afresh.